So what that tells us in terms of what you can expect in the future is that we have to make you increasingly comfortable with complexity, and we have to make you skillful at understanding a problem before you launch off to solve it. And we have some interesting ways we think we're going to be able to do that. For the gentleman in the front here, I would suggest to you that you grew me into the leader I am by challenging me with the introduction of mass. When I went to the National Training Center, for example, if I was not as challenged in fighting the opposing force as I need to be, we introduced additional artillery, we introduced additional opposing force formations. They were arrayed on the battlefield in fairly predictable ways. And I was faced with the challenge of overcoming an enemy that outnumbered me. And so we challenged you with mass. Increasingly, while not ignoring mass as a principle of war, but increasingly we have to build leaders by challenging them with complexity. And so, for example, I told you about that National Training Center rotation. At that National Training Center rotation, my unit was, to drive the scenario, I had access to about 5 sources of data or intelligence. And over the course of a 2-week period, the observer controllers injected or introduced about 2,500 significant activities or intelligence reports or imagery, but to the magnitude of about 2,500. In the National Training Center rotation we just completed for a unit preparing to go to Afghanistan about 2 weeks ago, we introduced 27 sources of data, encompassing most of those available even at the National Command Authority level, and 1.2 million significant activities, intelligence reports, full motion video, things to drive the scenario, which allows a commander in training to be able to replicate the complexity with which they will be faced when they go into the fight. Now, we're already doing that at the training centers. The next step is to introduce that into the TRADOC schoolhouse, but introduce it in a way that matches what we expect of you at echelon. So in your basic officer leader course, in your captain's career course, later in intermediate leader education at CGSC at Leavenworth, and finally at the Army War College. We will be able to present you with hybrid scenarios and present you in the classroom with the kind of complexity that we know you'll have to master as you go forth in your careers. That's the portion of my discussion on TRADOC that I wanted to share with you. Congratulations. I mean, this is a very exciting time in your life. Also a very uncertain time in your life. You know, you'll launch out of here and some of you will be married almost immediately. Others will hopefully enter into relationships. You've got to balance all that out. We're trying to help. We're trying to help by managing a boots on the ground or a deployment to dwell time at home ratio that will allow you not to put the most important values in your life in conflict with each other. And I would suggest to you those values are your love of country and military service and your love of your family. So we're not there yet. You'll see that when you enter into your first units. You can be assured we're aware that that's important. There's 2 imperatives really for our Army. We have to win the fight, and we have to preserve the all-volunteer force because it's a wonderful force. It's the force the nation needs. It's the institution the country deserves. And having been in both armies, that is to say a conscript army and a volunteer army, there simply is no comparison. So we're working on finding that balance, and I think making some progress. And so you'll see that as you go through your careers. Take time when you can, and especially after you do have your own families. I'm telling you this now, and I want you to reflect on it 10 years from now. But take time when you can to make sure you do seek some of that balance. And never forget to thank those that are supportive of you, and that starts with your family, and then your extended family, but it includes the American people. The American people remain very supportive of you, men and women in uniform. Don't ever take that for granted, because we've seen it wax and wane throughout our history, and we want to make sure we preserve that as well. So I'd like to, at this point, ask you, tell you thank you again, congratulate you again, and now let's see if you can stump the TRADOC commander with a question.